What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules. Back again with another video, and a video that I've put off for a hot minute and could have made it at any time. And it's a little bit better late than never, but the whole situation that is going on is extremely intriguing. And it's been a minute since I've done a straight up NBA video, but we're here to discuss the Jimmy Butler saga. Now, I will say, before we get real in-depth with it, I ain't citing sources, so I'm not the most reliable source. It's very much a he-say, she-say situation going on with this whole ordeal. And to be fair, I was waiting until Jimmy Butler actually got traded before I made any type of video about it. But with the route that we're going now, I don't even know if that's going to be the case. Also, if I made this video last week, it would have been a lot better because I had a lot more passion and thoughts on it then, where some of them have kind of went away. But I will say there's a lot that will be said and thrown out and theorized throughout this video. So I have briefly talked about in a couple of my videos that were, again, not all NBA related, the idea of a Jimmy Butler trade happening, and this is in the initial start of all this, when Shams reported that he wanted to get traded, and then the agent and that whole ordeal, which, looking at how the situation is going, kind of understandable, because this has been a very weird situation. Now, the reason that if I made this video last week, I would have had a lot more passion for it, is because I'm a Grizzlies fan. And I've said that several times in my videos, but it is extremely notable here. Now, I will also say that this whole ordeal, again, kind of involves all 30 teams, because the initial report, when the second time around, it's not even the initial report, the second time around, when Jimmy asked to be traded after the press conference, and more reports came out about it, that he wanted to play for 29 other teams. He just didn't want to play for the Heat anymore. So like I said, every team's technically involved in this situation. But I knew the moment that the Grizzlies were the betting odd favorite, that some crap would happen to screw it up. Now, has it been screwed up? Don't really know. When I saw that we were the betting odd favorites, I was like, there's like a 75% chance this happens. I'm not going to say we have the best trade package to offer. I don't even know what the trade package is to offer. Now, the three main names I continuously see in other people's trade requests for this and whatnot are Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, and Brandon Clark. I will say, I personally don't want us to trade Brandon Clark. He was drafted by the Grizzlies. Our backup center, I think that what Marcus does would be replaced by Jimmy. Luke, when everybody was healthy for the Grizzlies, was not playing as much. And again, he was rumored to be shopped around and traded in for Dorian Finney-Smith, and we've had other names thrown out, etc. And I really like Luke. When I use the Grizzlies on 2K, I put his ass in the starting lineup because he could hit threes on 2K, and he could hit them in real life. But I don't want us to trade Brandon Clark. Now, there was a report. Now, let me rewind real quick. I really wanted the Marcus Smart trade to work out for us and Marcus Smart to work out for us on the Grizzlies. But he just does not play that much and is injured right now. He was injured a lot last season, which we thought that while John Morant was out on suspension, could help us win games. And he just was not playing a lot then either. And sadly, it's carried over this year, but we have more healthier bodies and better situation going on this year than we did last year. I want the Marcus Smart situation to work, but you could have Marcus Smart, you could have Jimmy Butler. I'd probably choose Jimmy Butler, and we're kind of wasting time there. But it's very TBD. I don't really have a problem with Marcus Smart, but you can understand this situation. And I also just feel that Jimmy Butler would be a better fit for this team and to make us a better team. And I will also say, because I saw a lot of Grizzlies fans that were upset about this, and I know that I'm kind of dragging it out by talking about it a week later, but it's still an ongoing situation. A lot of Grizzlies fans were upset about it. I just feel that any team, and specifically this time around. Any team trying to trade for Jimmy Butler is trying to be a better team, if we're just being honest. But the reason I would have had a lot more passion about this last week is because it was reported that the Grizzlies were told not to trade for Jimmy Butler. Now, the main issue that I had with that is the reporting of it singled out the Grizzlies. It was the Grizzlies and several other teams. The Bucks were included with it a little bit later on, which, to be honest, with the Bucks, it's kind of hard to take any of their trade rumors serious because they're their second apron team and you don't really know what the hell they could do. So when it gets to the Bucks, I'll worry about a trade with them when an actual trade happens because it's so complicated with the second apron. Also, I understand what the second apron is. I understand why it happened. It could be improved and changed a little, but the whole situation here, I'm not going to say the whole situation. A majority of this situation is a money issue. If Jimmy was told, hey, you're going to get traded to the Grizzlies and they're willing to give you the money you want, I think he would be there right now. Granted, you don't really know what the Heat were getting back in the whole situation. A report that I did see that there's supposed to be a 3-team. This is a day later that I saw, but it's like there's a 3-team trade out there, and that is why that report came out because it was so close to happening. And again, if you look at the betting odds, there's a chance of it happening. And I personally think that Jimmy thinks that we wouldn't give him the money, which is understandable. But I think a lot of this situation is about the money. This is my main point. In this modern NBA, you can either win or you can get money. It's very difficult to get both. Most people choose to get the money because it's a little bit easier to get that. Only 14 people end up winning a year. And most of the people that get both get the money after they win. You got Curry, you got Jokic, you got Tatum, you got Brown. Those are the main ones that come to mind. I'm trying to think if there's like Giannis. So like people that are winning, they're the ones getting the money. The people that are getting close to winning, like Embiid is in that weird area where he got the money but has not won and not gotten that close, but that's a subject for a different day. And also, if you listen to the names that I just mentioned, they were drafted and homegrown talents by that team. Where with Jimmy, and I'm talking about this situation ideally because of this, this is his 4th team now because he was on the Bulls, he was on the Wolves, he's on the Sixers, he's on the Heat. And I understand that he has helped them get close, but the time that he's going to be making that money, he's probably not helping them get close anymore. And they have benefited from him being in and out of the lineup and not being as reliable in the suspension and whatnot. The Heat are in a very interesting spot. But I do think in this modern NBA, you can either win or you can make money. And if you want to get both, you most likely got to win first. And I ain't got any problem with wanting the money. But I do have a problem with people saying, I want to win, I want to help, I want to win here. So I will name a specific situation that I remember someone talking about wanting to win, and it just didn't happen, and that was Bradley Beal. Now, when he was in Washington, he talked about wanting to win a championship and compete there and stay there and be loyal, and then he got the payday, which I do find it funny now that so many people talk about, why did the Wizards give him that contract? Why did the Wizards give him that no-trade clause? I kind of find it funny now because they got out of the contract, they got out of the no-trade clause, they got out of that business, and they washed their hands and are not looking back at the situation. Now, it is with Phoenix. So I don't know why that keeps getting brought up because he was only under that contract with them for 1 year. And that's kind of what I was getting at. I actually like that Wizards team. Monte Morris was there. It was Bill. You had Denny. You had Kuzma. You had Porzingis. You still had Gafford. You had Hachimura for some games. I actually like that Wizards squad. And then Bill went out with injury, and they did not make the play-in. It's very rare and difficult for a play-in team to make the finals and compete in the playoffs. I know it's kind of weird to be talking about that when Jimmy Butler literally was one of the only guy right now to have done that. You get the point. But with Bill, he said he wanted to win in Washington. This is my opinion on it. I think he stuck it out that last year, realized I ain't winning here. I got my money. Let me get somewhere else where I could compete to win. And that is how Phoenix is in this messed up situation that they're in. Now, I actually reacted to the Bradley Beal trade 2 years ago now. And my initial thought was, I don't know why they would trade for a more expensive Devin Booker when they already got Devin Booker. Now, I know I'm jumping off the Jimmy Butler situation, but it's talking about Phoenix, and I'm trying to persuade him to why, hey, Phoenix is not the sunniest place, even though it's kind of funny because they're the Suns. But I've kind of had this thought process with the Suns that if I was Kevin Durant, and again, I'm going to be jumping all over the place here, but I just didn't think the trade would work out, seeing how much they're going all over the place to fix it and change it up and to get rid of it altogether, aka trade Bill. It hasn't worked out, and there's several reasons why, but my initial reason was just get a point guard that can get your guys a ball and to get some depth. And I'll give them credit because they do have Tyus Jones, which is not really depth because he starts for them now. And I also mentioned when the initial trade happened for Kevin Durant to go there, I was like, they're not winning this year. It's hard to make a deal at the deadline where you're essentially giving up your whole team and your team's in and out. It's going to be difficult for them to win the title, and they lost that year to the Nuggets in the second round. But if I was Kevin Durant, and this is me talking, and I've had this thought process for a while, and this is the best time to share it, I'd be a little bit salty. Because when he initially got traded there, he was being paired with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Monty Williams. With Chris Paul, Kevin Durant has played with some of the greatest point guards of the 2010s of his era in Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving. So the main one that is missing of the Mount Rushmore, which I feel like I'm probably forgetting somebody, but Chris Paul you could put up there. And he did not get many games to do that with. But Chris Paul, like I said, can get you the ball. DeAndre Ayton, dominating, number one pick, was supposed to be the next big thing, and they had so many questions about what he can do and what he doesn't do, and they pointed all the fingers at him that they could, but they saved one more for Monty Williams, which I think this one's the most important one, because they moved on to Frank Vogel, and then immediately got rid of him. Brought in Budenholzer, who can't really change anything. But the main thing with Monty Williams is, like, I remember the situation, like, he was assistant coach for the Thunder when KD was there, and he won it, and he led that Phoenix Suns team to the finals, and he was gone too. And they just cleaned house and kept Devin Booker there and had a spot there for KD and Bill to be there as well. And they just changed the foundation of their team over again. And they're trying their best to do that now with Bill and Butler. It's an interesting standpoint. Now, I think what sucks the most about this, and why I probably could have never, if a trade happens, I'll make a reaction video to it, but the standpoint we're at now is he still wants to be traded. He still wants his money. I don't know if more teams are open for business here because, again, the latest report was that he wants to go to Phoenix because they're willing to give him the money. And granted, at the end of the day, you could say they have Kevin Durant and they have Devin Booker. It would be pretty crappy for them to get Jimmy Butler there, and then it's just so similar to the Bradley Beal situation where he's in and out of you don't know what the hell. I just think with all the signs that are being so negative and have been for the past 2 years with the Suns, I don't think that this, and how crazy of a situation it is to get there, that it would help things out. And I think they'd probably stay the same, might get worse, but, to be fair, there's a chance that it does get better. So I kind of admire Phoenix's wanting to do this, but it's kind of screwing over the rest of the league. Now, again, I think the situation that we're at now is that a trade just happens in the offseason. I don't want that to happen. That's the boring thing. I want a trade to happen now. I actually want it after I upload this video to happen. That way I can do a reaction to it. I wouldn't mind him on the Grizzlies. Now, here's what I will say. And this is the vision that I had last offseason and the offseason before. Because when you look at the Grizzlies, we got our star players in John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane, which I know people would question about Bane, but look at the money he's making and what he actually does for our team. He's a star. We have a rookie in Zach Edey who is exceeding expectations and is doing very well. And we got a lot of young players on extremely good contracts and potential. And the main reason that I feel the Grizzlies are in the market for a small forward and a veteran presence is because you're asking a lot to rely on these young guys in this situation. Jalen Wells, who is legitimately a second-round pick, has done well this year. But when we get to the playoffs, is that going to carry over? Vince Williams and G.G. Jackson, who took off and did well last season. G.G. is yet to play this year. It's very close, very close. And Vince Williams has played like 2 minutes maybe and then was back out. I'm trying to think. I feel there's one more guy. Scottie Pippen is on a good contract, but I'm mainly trying to talk from a forward presence. And this is, like I said, this is why I don't want to include Clark in the deal, because he's vital to our center rotation and plays extremely well with Jaren, and also is one of our OG's guys left. What my vision that I've had for the last 2-ish years is that we get that veteran small forward for now, right now, trying to help us compete, and they mentor, showcase to one of these young guys. I would probably say specifically Gigi, what they need to do and what role they need to be in, and then they could finish their career as a sixth man on the bench, which I know that is not the best thing to say. Is very similar to the Chris Paul situation last year, where he wanted to start for his whole career, and then he got put into a crappy situation with the Warriors where he had to come off the bench to benefit the team and himself, and it didn't really work out. So I actually kind of just screwed the pooch there. But you get the point that I'm saying. I want someone that can help us now and mentor and lead the way for the future, specifically at small forward. Chris Middleton could probably do that, but just injury-wise, and again, I talked about with the Bucks, it's not the best situation. KD would have been a good option 2-ish years ago, but at that point, we didn't have the youth that we do now, and we probably would have to give up a lot more than we would for Jimmy. Cam Johnson is a good option and is option number 2. I have no problem with Cam Johnson being on this team. There's a chance that it happens because, again, we're aggressively pursuing a lot of people. But when you're in my town, every year they have a competition at the park where people just fish, and you're trying to get the biggest fish and win that competition. So right now in the trade market, there are, I was going to say dozens, but handful, close to dozens of players. And the biggest fish on the market at this moment is Jimmy Butler. When you're on 2K and you go to Team Intel and you see players available, the highest overall player would probably be Jimmy Butler. And you don't want someone else to get Jimmy Butler. Now, I was listening to a Grizzlies personnel, Chris Vernon, and again, this was last week, and it was a very, very good point. The reason, again, the Grizzlies are probably so involved in it, and the main reason I mentioned him is because I actually remember him, where everything else is kind of spinning around, and, but the main reason he said, the Grizzlies are probably trying to get involved with it is if you look at the other teams that want him and the teams that are interested, they're in the damn West. They probably would have him. So you're trying to stop that from happening. Now, his initial reports and teams that he wanted to go to were the Warriors, the Suns, the Mavericks, and the Rockets. I think with the Rockets, they're doing a very good job this year. They beat my damn Grizzlies 3 times, but I didn't want to have to bring that up. I think they want to see who it's a make or break year for a lot of their guys there. Jalen Green and Sengun, I think, are set to stay. Amin Thompson and Tari Eason are set to stay. Everybody else is going to be a prove year. I compare it to last year with OKC, to where if they won, they would be extremely happy, but they're trying to set the foundation for their future, and look what they did in the offseason. They added their 2 biggest needs in Hartenstein and Caruso, and obviously didn't give up much. But I think they're trying to see this year, make the playoffs. Whoever does well for us could stay. Who doesn't, it's time to get that improvement. So that's why Houston could still really get involved. I just don't see it happening. With Dallas, they just made the finals. I don't really think they need to go out of their way to make this trade. And I kind of always think that Dallas is just going to be a team that floats, and then if they win, They don't, I'm not going to say they don't take the regular season that serious, but they're not overly concerned with being a top team. And this last month or so has kind of, hurt them in that case because a lot of injuries started piling up for them. So Dallas, and Dallas would have to give up the most out of all the other teams. I don't really see that one happening. Golden State is weird, and they are in a questionable situation, and I mainly say that because we don't really know. They say one thing and then do the other, where the main thing that is being said is, we want to help Curry compete. We think Curry can help us win a championship. And they want to be committed to their young guys, where if you want to help Curry win, you need to get rid of the young guys, and that's why a lot of them have stayed. I also personally just don't think that their youth movement there is that fascinating and want to be that committal with. And I'm not going to say it all started with James Wiseman, but it's like that situation where you got like the hand here and then you point it the other way, like. And then if you look at, because I remember specifically, it was Jordan Poole, Moses Modi, I almost said Modi Moses, Kuminga, and James Wiseman. Moody cannot stay in the lineup consistently and help them out consistently. Jordan Poole is long gone. James Wiseman didn't really help them. They got rid of them as quick as they almost could. And I really liked Wiseman, so it was an unfortunate situation. And Kuminga is just the biggest question mark in the NBA right now. Also, so we're talking about the Jimmy Butler situation. You saw they didn't pay their own guy in Klay Thompson, who did help them win 4 championships and was drafted there, loyal there, literally legitimately a splash brother. You'd have to wonder and question what the hell if they would pay Jimmy. So it'd have to be in the back of your mind. Phoenix, I kind of already discussed that. I understand it, but if it doesn't work out, it's going to be a bad situation for their big 3. So essentially, I made this whole video about the Jimmy Butler situation. I like him on the Grizzlies. It's kind of, I'm not going to say it's me saying, hey, Jimmy, come to the Grizzlies, but it's kind of a little, it's just like I just said with pointing, like, please do so. But I know I went on for 22 minutes to essentially say, at this rate, this is going to be very boring because there's a high chance that they just wait until the off season and trade him there, and he's got to wait and we got to wait because this is the most, I'm not going to say it's the most interesting thing going on in the NBA, but it's the most interesting talking point in the NBA right now. And anytime I hear a notification on my phone, I'm just trying to see if it's a trade, because I want to make a reaction video to it. I want it to be over and done with. I think a lot of people want to be over and done with. Now, this weekend going on into this week, it was very quiet because the suspension's going on, and you don't really know where the latest report today was. He reiterated he's not signing a contract there, and he wants to be traded. So, who knows what the hell it is happening. So, in short, I like Jimmy on the Grizzlies if we don't have to give up Brandon Clark. Any other things, comment and, let me know, and I'd ponder it a little bit. But I like Jimmy on the Grizzlies. A lot of people were saying, hey, it's not going to work out in Phoenix, and I'm one of those people as well. This modern NBA, you can either win or you can get the money. If you want to get both, it's easier to win and then get the money. And I think there's a high possibility that a sign and trade happens in the offseason, which I actually don't want that to happen. I don't think anybody wants that to happen, except for maybe Miami. And it's all very much on what the hell Miami thinks they can do this year, which right now is probably not win a championship. But who the hell knows? So these are just my opinions on this ongoing Jimmy Butler situation. And I definitely talked a lot more about the Grizzlies than I did Jimmy Butler. But, at least that's the thing I know the most. And a lot of it is not reports and he say, she say stuff. So hopefully I can come back a little bit later to respond to a trade. I also don't know how many days until February, because February 6th is the big date that we're all circling. I believe that today is January 14th. Hey Siri, what's today's date?
It's Wednesday, January 15th.
Okay, it's actually the 15th now. Hooray. So, we'll see what happens. Just want to provide my thoughts and opinions on it because, like I said, it's the main talking point in the NBA. And I did get a bit repetitive, but at least I got it off my chest and made an NBA related video. So I do appreciate y'all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one because I'm out for now. Goodbye.